Is there such a thing as Muslim culture? Do I have to abandon my culture or adapt a new one in order to be Muslim? Well, the first thing you need to know is that culture is not at odds with Islam. Muslims make up a global community of beautiful cultures. And the beauty of Islam is that it is enriched by those who practice it, offering so much to the global Muslim community. Let's take a look at the relationship between Islam and culture. Culture is made up of not just language, food, and clothing, but also unique systems of knowledge, unique traditions and wisdoms, the way a community lives, and their written and oral contributions and traditions, all of which are known as cultural knowledge. Islam, on the other hand, is made up of Quran, Hadith, and worship, as well as God-given wisdom and principles, a philosophy and universal set of objectives, specific sets of guidelines on how to live, and written traditions and divine prophetic wisdoms. Islam provides a framework for life that values our cultural knowledge. But what is this framework exactly? Look at it this way. Islam is like a filter. Pour in all the cultural knowledge, which may include un-Islamic elements, and whatever isn't in line with Islamic belief gets filtered out. What we're left with is a purified, important body of lived knowledge that enriches the global Muslim community. Every community has its own body of cultural knowledge, and that diversity is recognized by God. Allah says in the Quran, "O mankind, we have created you from male and female and made you nations and tribes that you may get to know one another." So if Islam acknowledges and appreciates different cultures and tribes, why do we have this sense of a Muslim culture? When some cultural communities form the majority in a given Muslim space, they may view the way that they practice Islam as the real way to practice Islam. But one important Islamic principle is that all things are permissible until proven otherwise. As long as they pass through the Islamic filter, different ways of doing something are all beautiful and true ways to manifest Islam. Whether you wear a thobe or a shalwal khamis or even an Irish kilt, there is no clothing that is considered more valuable within Islam. They are just forms of cultural dressing that are acceptable as long as they follow Islamic guidelines. Passing ideas through the Islamic filter leaves us with a beautiful collection of ways to manifest Islam and helps us tackle a real problem that is in our communities: cultural hierarchies. The notion of what we may think are a normative community of Islam actually come from dominant groups within the community that may unintentionally offer their own interpretation as the real or only way to practice the religion. When a cultural community is dominant within a Muslim space, they may exclude other minority communities, making them invisible and eventually driving them out. Being invisible doesn't just mean not having your food and clothing represented and appreciated. It also means not being able to inform the social and political aspects of your community. Exclusion doesn't just hurt feelings, it marginalizes and harms communities. In many ways, it's no different than colonization. When the Western countries entered into spaces, they touted their culture as superior, civilized, and more modern than that of the country they colonized, asserting dominance over the culture of Africans, Asians, and other indigenous peoples. In a similar way, when a group asserts itself as the dominant Muslim community, they tout their cultural knowledge as the most authentic way to practice Islam, thereby culturally dominating indigenous and other Muslim communities. When we realize that Islam is culturally friendly, we can begin to see the way that it encompasses and values all cultural knowledge that is within Islamic guidelines.